Hey Planet Drum guys, this is Minnemann, and you're surfing Planet Drum, and pick up as much as you can because it's a really good platform, and these are very nice people here I'm with. So thank you very much. Ciao a tutti. Solo show, and the difference between the band is, first of all, that you are alone on stage. So you have to come up with, it's a challenge. I like it a lot to play alone because you have to be musical and kind of communicate with an audience just on your own solo instrument. So you have to be musical, you have to be dynamic, you have to develop or deliver also some showmanship a little bit, and some energy, and some groove that the people can relate to. So that's the challenge, being alone, because you don't have a band. There's you that you have to rely on yourself. The good thing with the band is you have this fortress around you. You have people around you, and you can just, be a little more. It's like you can sit on top of the band and just it's a group effort. It's both very nice and very valid. And I love doing both, but to be very honest, also, like the solo shows, I learned a lot from that, because all of a sudden it's you that has to provide your talent and your expertise. So that's pretty much the difference between it. But again, both things very different. It's like having beer all night. First of all, I started playing piano and guitar, like organ and guitar, and I still do that, and I write music. This is what I do. I have like 14 solo CDs out, and this is my passion. I think it goes hand in hand. So basically the composition is always the most important thing on every instrument. The technique is just the vehicle, or like the language, the alphabet that makes it work. But the musicality and the composition is all you. And I learned when I was like, between 12 and 18 years old, I listened to Led Zeppelin, I listened to Queen, more rock. Then I listened to Miles Davis, and then I listened to Frank Zappa, who was like a very big influence, because what he did like a lot of extremities, like a lot of, extreme music. Like he had like rock elements, he had like operatic elements, he had like reggae and jazz elements, and modern composition, written out stuff. So for me, as being like a teenager, I tried to transcribe every little bit of Frank Zappa. And so that was a big influence. And as you learn and as you get, wiser and older in music, when I was like 20, like in the mid-20s, and I wrote my CDs and all this kind of stuff, and I started writing, which I still do, you get more and more confident. You get more, the more you already release, the more the energy gets back to you, and the more you can relax and kind of, open different doors to different music genres and learn from it and bring this into your music. So the first few years are always challenging. You try to prove yourself. And then there's a moment when you don't have to prove yourself anymore, when okay, I know what I'm doing, and this is the moment I'm always looking forward to. When you go on stage and you know what to play to please yourself and the audience.
see that there was a lot of influence of Gary Shafi and Gary Chester. After studying them, these two drummers, how did you end in mixing all this knowledge into one band?
Well, my idea, to be very honest, I learned from Gary Chester's book, and he works like with a groove and takes out one element and then you solo them against each other, against that thing. With Gary Shafi, it is more like a technique kind of thing, more like finger control and more like well, this is the books I picked up from him, or more like linear stuff. But to be very honest, what I actually did was first of all I learned the stick control book, Stick Control, George Lawrence Stone, but played all the sides against each other. That was my concept. So basically I took the first pages and just played the paradiddle with my hands and a double stroke with my feet, for example. And then I played it with that side and that side, and then with this side and that side. And then I started to get more complex rhythms, like one element and three solo against one element, and all that stuff. So I built my drum set around this, composition, around this concept, So I ended up having three hi-hats, a few pedals, and the gong drum. It was difficult to really find out about the instruments that really work and that we really want to hear.
In your opinion, which is the real difference between independence and interdependence?
Nothing, because the thing is, the term, I had to probably put out a word for Dom Famularo, because he came to me after one show and said, Marco, what you do is not independence, it's interdependence. Use that word. And I was like, okay. And he's great, I like him. And hey, Don, we have always a good time. Don, actually. My company by the time thought, sounds good, it's a good title. To me, it's just a form of independence. Apart from music, traveling, and basically I'm very, very fortunate that I can make a living of playing drums and composing music, and I go to every country, and everywhere there's wonderful people, like tonight, that welcome you. So I found out that in every part of the world, if I go to the Philippines, if I go to South America, or to Germany, or to Italy, or to Norway, there's everywhere people going like, hey Marco, this is great. And I was like, wow. And this is a big inspiration because it makes me feel that the energy I give to the people comes back. And to me that was the biggest influence, because all of a sudden you're not the player that sits in the practice room and kind of, plays for itself and hope that people like it. You all of a sudden have this personality with that music that works, and it comes as a concept. You come as a human being that makes this music that is very much your personality. That was the biggest learning procedure, because you had to adjust yourself to the different countries as, to different playing opportunities. Like, for example, here, the stage was very big, the sound was very fat, so I was able to do like big, slow grooves with the gong drum, boom, 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 and kind of, get like more, also like the fast stuff sound very aggressive. I was able to play loud and aggressive. In a small place, when I do sometimes clinics in rooms that are this big, I play a little quieter and leave a little more space, Stuff like this, that's what you learn, and this is like an inspiration.
How do you create your drum set?
How do I create my drum set?
Is it in constant evolution, the way you...
Yeah, how I come up with it? Well, I have first of all, for my solo stuff, I have 5 drums, 10-inch, 12-inch, 8-inch, 14-inch, 16-inch, a gong drum over here, one hi-hat over here, which I play with this foot, one hi-hat over there, I play with that foot, cable hi-hats. Then I have like a regular hi-hat, double pedal, 2 snares, and then a lot of cymbals, like not too many. Crash cymbal, splash, splash, crash, ride cymbal, crash, China, and a few bells on top. So this is my setup basically, and it works as a universal thing. I can play jazz with it, because I have the right sizes. I can play rock, I can play metal, or I can play funk. And it changes on and off, so if I'm on the road with a regular rock band, or now I'm on tour with Eddie Jobson actually, we do this UK reformation called UKZ, and I play a double kick set, and just the 2 hi-hats. And and no cymbals in front, but cymbals over here. So it's like a different, every time a different approach for the music as well. But this is my favorite set that you just saw. That's probably the one.
what other evolutions will we see in the future, or which direction will it take?
Well, first of all, I think actually I'm very proud of that I was kind of part of developing new stuff, that people come up with small heights all of a sudden. And I think, that the drums will move in a more independent direction, like playing-wise, because, when it started like in the 1920s or something like that, there was not even a hi-hat. It was like a low boy, they called it. And then, there was all of a sudden the hi-hat that you played with the group. Then there was all of a sudden the double kick, that came much later, in the 40s, I think, wasn't it? With Louis Davidson, 40s or 50s even, And all these little things, then, what happens now is like, people start to play melodically in the drums, but basically like guys like Terry Boskin, I think is more, but also like in the computer world, where, all of a sudden everything is Pro Tooled out and mapped out, and players start to playing like, like these computers. It started already in the 80s, but this is like the development, but it will always come back to music. It will always come back to musicality. If you're on stage along with your instrument, as you hear right now with Mike, Mike Stern, or also when I play, people will come back to see people and play. I like it very much. Basically, it changed the world, and for us, it changed it for the positive. Because I remember when I was playing like 15 years ago with a few bands, we were controlled by record companies. And that doesn't give you really a chance to grow that much, because there's always somebody who tells you what to do to be popular to the people. And even though if the bands are not as good, the record company can still promote them to the people and make people buy them. And that goes away now, and I like that. Like, a lot of people get fired from record companies, and a lot of good players have a chance to sell their own music on the web. And people are able to pick good music again. So I'm not too disappointed. The only thing that is disappointing, of course, is like the big downloads thing, people downloaded one album 10,000 times of myself, or even more, and I sell, maybe 1,000 copies or something, and you think like, oh man. But again, the true fans and the fans I want, they buy my album. And it works. And I do the same thing. I sometimes do that. But I have to admit, I go sometimes through the web and browse and listen to stuff and go like, do I like the new album? If I don't like it, I don't need to buy it. But if I like it, I buy it. Good food, girls. Good food, good locations. I love traveling. And I like living, I live on the beach in San Diego, so I run a bit, I do, I love it. I like to, this is my non-musical interest, basically. It's like to broaden my experience. Hey, Planet Drum guys, this is Marco Minnemann, and you're surfing Planet Drum, and pick up as much as you can, because it's a really, really, really good platform, and these are very nice people here I'm with. So thank you very much. Ciao a tutti.